it's a real challenge. Like, to me, process, like even like the software or the process is what I'm thinking about, because I'm now emotionally open to my employees being at home, being in Florida, being in Texas, being in, wherever, like the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, like I'm open to it. I'm not open to not knowing where they are, not like because I'm a spy. I actually don't give a shit. I'm just trying to help people know so they can have meetings. And like, you gotta have some organization. I think software is gonna emerge. I think that's gonna be a big one. But I think it starts with intent, technology, and then operations. So I'm in that intent place, and I know a lot of people are. I feel like our culture at VaynerX has gotten better during this time, not worse. I don't think we've won on the little things where you guys are meeting at, hey, who are you? Hey, that we're losing on. But a lot of other things we're winning on. I'm excited about the osmosis of being together. I'm way more excited that somebody's gonna stay at my company because they love it. And instead of leaving for $10,000 more somewhere else because they're just getting by financially with how expensive it is to live in Manhattan, they're gonna say, wait a minute, Gary and company are giving me this option. I'm gonna move to Hunterdon County, New Jersey, where I get a lot more for my money. I'm gonna come to the office once a week, because fuck traffic, or I'm gonna come at 10:30, I'm gonna leave at 10:30. I'm gonna do my 9 a.m. I'm gonna do a call. Like there's a lot. It's awesome. What I'm trying to do in this talk is, I know people like my dad who are so rigid that they're not gonna take the moment into account and be like, no, everyone back. And they're gonna lose, and they're gonna lose big. So what am I thinking about? First it was the religion, so I'm open to it. Now I'm worried about the software. Like, I feel like it's gonna be bubblegum and tape at first until somebody, right? Like it's gonna be Excel and HR and I'm like, cause you're gonna need to have a little organization because teams are gonna need to know where everybody is. Otherwise you're gonna spend 38 minutes of the hour meeting trying to figure out why Johnny isn't on the call and where is Sarah, and like, it can get murky real fast if you're too loosey-goosey. So that's what I'm thinking about. It's weird, I'm in a tough spot as a human. Let me explain what I mean by that. There are very few people who I think are as religious about the belief that accountability is the greatest unlock to happiness. You can't imagine how much I love accountability. I just, from a place of like wanting it for everyone, because I know what that ingredient does for happiness. We are also living currently at this exact second, like this second as I gave you that answer, is the worst moment in the history of human accountability. We're just not in it. It's just not where we are right now. Everything is, like the amount of fingers that are being pointed versus thumbs in society is extraordinary. And the momentum is in that direction. So I'm trying to work this balance where I want people to be like to me, for example, we have unlimited vacation policy, right? 4 years ago, I had to mandate 3 weeks because what did I learn? I thought I was being like Santa Claus, and then all of a sudden I'm having meetings where people are yelling at me because I'm very open and they feel they can do that and I eat it, fuck it. But and I'm like, why am I getting, I'm like, this is wrong, I'm the greatest. They're like, no, I didn't take any days. I'm like, that's on you. They're like, no, but the subconscious pressure. I'm like, from who? And like, so you start realizing, wait a minute, most people did go to school and get good grades. Most people were trained to cross T's and A's and this and that and this, right? And I'm like, oh. So then we mandated it. Now to this, right? Like opening keynotes, like your health, this is a treacherous time. You've got COVID, then you have Floyd, then you have there's so much, right? So I'm like, look, take care of yourself. We got this, I'm here. Email me directly if you have a problem. All of that, open door policy for 10 years, and still I had to do 1:37 p.m. So how do I think about it? I think about it like I think about everything in the world. It's about communication if you're a leader. I communicate that you have incredible opportunities. I watch you. You don't take advantages of those opportunities because of your own insecurities. I then create a mandate. I don't try to create too much mandates because then it flips the other way. And it's this like very difficult game of finding the balance of that middle. But the way I would tell every leader here is you've got to talk about it. I like when people come and resign at Vayner, like, fuck you, Johnny sucked and all that I look at them and say, Steve, like, I've talked to you 15 times about my open door policy. How did you not come to talk to me about this? Well, what do you do? Right? Like I love when people are like, Gary, we need it in the handbook. I'm like, as if people follow rules that are written. Come on, it's not real life. Culture building, a lot of communication. It's the only way, only way. And accountability at the CEO level. You know, it's, I don't know, like, and I don't do it for shtick. Like, I don't know how not every single issue at VaynerX is not my fault. It's my fault. If we have a problem with Vayner speakers, I hired Zach. So like, and I think when I see leaders not accountable, I'm like, that company has no shot. It's not fun. This is why it's not fun to be a leader. When you know everything's your fault, it's daunting. When you know that every other human sucks at a lot of things too, it can become more palpable. But we as employees have to become more accountable. So many people leave good jobs because they didn't have the ability. You'll find this stunning. In this environment, there may not be somebody currently that's as good at candor as I am. I'm very good at these talks. In real life, for 20 years, I was terrible at it. And it's very hard and exciting that I can say that out loud now. I liked positivity so much. My dad delivered candor in such a negative way that I think I overreacted and demonized candor, not the vehicle that my dad delivered it in. And for 20 years, the great shortcoming of my operational career has been my inability to have candor to my employees, which led to entitlement and which led to when I would fire them that I was the bad guy because I didn't have the ability to shoot straight and set up the combo. I've worked on myself very heavily the last 15, 18 months. The dividends have been extraordinary. What did that do? Because now I'm out of my blinded light. I'm like, oh shit, employees are doing this in reverse. Because they don't want to say that their boss is bad and they don't like the confrontation, like I don't like confrontation, they're just leaving. And because I know how much good intent my HR and I and everybody have, I'm trying to encourage them, like, it's okay. If you don't know if Johnny's having a bad, going through a divorce and that's why he's not nice at work. Just communication. I mean, this is going to become the conversation. Finding that balance through words and eliminating fear. The number one job of every single leader that's watching this right now, the number one job is to eliminate fear. Unfortunately, 80% of people run things with fear as their weapon. I think the context of your question is, goes into that word both. That's what I say. I'm just really praying, this is a very quick and easy answer for me, that nobody on the other side right now thinks about their HR, their marketing, their real estate now, or anything else in the concept of or. It makes no sense. It makes no practical sense to be in a process of or. So hybrid means, to me, it's almost like oxygen now for me. Everything should be both and, and so that was fun. I won because I understood that in marketing. It wasn't just Facebook, it wasn't just TV, like all. And then whatever's the underpriced attention is where I would bet, right? The fact that that's now hit real estate and that we, the business community, have the luxury of having the collateral upside of things like this, having infrastructure and other options, it's really cool because that's a fixed cost. Like this flexibility to be, for me, the fact that I'm about to win on culture and save money and have better flexibility, have more options, it's huge for me as a leader. And I'm sure other people are feeling that. And I think about that in just company, offsite, everything. Everything I think about it with culture, from real estate as a foundation up, it's not just, oh, we'll have some WeWorks, which we will now in a very scale way. We are a company that always used it, but now I'm thinking about in the reverse as offense, not defense. But it's even just like, why did I make everybody do the same thing for the holiday party? I can do fragmentation holiday party. Like, it's just like every little thing in my mind now is and both. I think the way you foster collaboration is, I'm really glad I got to say it earlier, my number one belief in fostering collaboration is the elimination of fear. The reason people don't collaborate is because people think people are political. It's not a physical thing, it's a mental thing. The lack of collaboration comes out of people feeling they need to hold on to something as their leverage point in the political warfare that is work, which is really sad. So I think it's a dictatorship around the culture. It's rewarding the collaborative and de-rewarding the people that aren't. One of the great reasons I think I have a strong company is we have fired people who've purposely been political and non-collaborative because they thought that would be their advancement, but because I rule, and that will be the word I would use, from a place of emotional intelligence understanding, valuing over short-term profit that behavior creates, we've been able to win that game. I think that's a rarity. I invest in companies that I can see that from, and people that I see that from. They tend to have great long-term careers. I think your answer comes down to eliminating fear and being upfront with your employees and teams that you will penalize that behavior, even though I literally talk like this. That will be penalized. I know right now, because you just started, you do not believe me. You think this is lip service for optics. I highly recommend that you don't play it out, because it's not going to work. You know, and so that's the mental game. And then the physical game is back to this flexibility game, right? Which is like, for example, let me give you an offensive move I'm thinking about that affects the WeWork world. One of the reasons, I mentioned it very subtly just now, offense versus defense. I want my offices to be more collaborative, less closed rooms, more open space, but that's gonna hit me hard in my core places. How am I gonna offset that? With hubs, which will create more collaboration by structure in my core offices. So there's those things. It's almost like the same answer I gave you, right? It's like there's the things you'll go heavy-handed on, and then there's the gray and the EQ that creates the framework for letting that flourish. Because I always told people, I'm like, I would go to companies 7, 8 years ago, and again, I'm always tasting the EQ and the leadership, and immediately, new startup, like before I got up the elevator, just watching the two co-founders interact, I'm like, I'm not investing in this company. But it wasn't even in the office. You walk in the office, and what would you see? Free fucking this, foosball fucking that, and they literally thought those things were the culture. It's never that. So that's the answer. Thank you for having me.